Hey guys, we're going to look at the quadratic formula. And most of y'all are familiar with this, but so this will be a review. But actually, even though the complexity of this equation seems a lot, it's actually just identifying what is A, B, and C and plugging into the equation. Key thing to remember, A cannot be equal to 0, or else we're left with just a linear equation. So this is my quadratic formula. One thing that people often overlook is what I'm saying is x equals all of this. So x equals a negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. So here's an example. We have the quadratic that is 2x squared plus 1 equals 5x. So I identify what my a, b, and c are. Okay, so right here, notice that I have b as being a negative 5, because if I rewrite this and pull 5x over, I end up with 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. So a is 2, b is a negative 5, and c is 1. So I plug in to my quadratic equation my values, or my quadratic formula rather, my values of a, b, and c, and that's what x equals. And now I'm left with simplifying. So whenever I simplify, I end up with these two answers. Again, these are the zeros, these are the roots, these are the solutions, and these are also the x-intercepts. So, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and pause the video, work this problem, and let's see if we get the same answers. Alright, so here's my equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify what is A, it's 2, B is 12, and C is a negative 4. And then I'm going to plug into my quadratic equation. So I have a negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 times A times C. All over 2A. And now it's a matter of simplifying. Okay, so I have a negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 144, and this is a negative 4 times a negative 8. Negative 4 times a negative 8, positive 32, so plus 32, and there over 4. So let's see, 144 plus 32, 144 plus 32, that will be 176. So that's what's under my radical. So I have a negative 12 plus or minus a 176 over 4. I need to simplify what's inside the radical. So 176, moving on my paper, 176. And what I do is I look for a perfect square that are going to 176. So we can just start off something simple. We can say 176 divided by 4. 4 is a perfect square. When I look at that and I say, ooh, there's 44. 4 can go in there again. So let's try something else. Let's say 176 divided by 16. Yes, 16 is a perfect square. And 11, so I can rewrite that. Alright. The square root of 16 is 4, so I have a negative 12 plus or minus 4 and the square root 11 over 4. And then I need to simplify. 4 can go into these three, this coefficient, and these other two. So what I have is a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 11. And that is my answer for the zeros, or the solution to that quadratic. Okay guys, structure your problem. One thing that I recommend is every problem that you work with the quadratic, you write the quadratic formula out. That helps you to memorize it. Critically think about what you're doing, watch the publisher's videos, and good luck with your homework.